All right, happy Wednesday. Happy September 24th. Here's a little, I don't really like showing my profits, but for the sake of just holding myself accountable. And today was a pretty decent day. I mean, what could have started off as a bad day ended up being one of the better days on the small account flip, right? So, um, obviously I'm not trying to rush this. I did break my rules. Ideally, I do like to take one trade, but hey, when the setup is there, it just makes sense to hit the gas, right? So, I mean, I think there's a handful of opportunities out there, but it's just about how many hits are you willing to take, and if you can hold yourself accountable if things don't go your way. So it's always very easy to kind of just lose yourself and just to mentally get all messed up. If you keep breaking your psychology rules, right? So if you take two or three trades and they're all losses, or if two out of those three are, losses, or if one out of three is especially one trade, that you took a loss, is a heavy red trade, you just broke your psychology. You can't ever recover that, right? So you're taking small trades, you're forcing trades, it can just go all south, right? That's basically a rabbit hole that you don't ever want to go down. So 163, say 164 profit today. um let's just look at the charts and let's talk about it, right? So actually, I don't really like even trading US 30. It says it over here as U30 USD. I actually thought it was US 30 USD. But I traded that today. That was actually a great signal for when I saw it. The timing was perfect, right? So I always, if we go back over here, I know you can't really see it because I have my screen cropped for the sake of recording this video, but I have two tabs on my top, right, on my trading view. So I have, excuse me. So I have two tabs. I have one that's US 30. I also have one that's NAS 100, right? So let's talk about US 30 just because this one was pretty straightforward for when I saw it. Now I don't really look at it on average. I just sometimes glance at it just to see what's happening, but I just happened to glance at it, and when I did, and even then I probably look at US 30 like before I go to sleep, just to kind of see what it's doing and just to see just the price action, whether it's good, whether it's bad, and whether it's strong, right? So uh ideally I like to see stuff like this, right? So um US 30, on the other hand, can sometimes be easier than reading NAS. Sometimes NAS can be easier than US 30. It just depends. You gotta choose your cup of poison and stick to it, right? So um makes sense. I clearly chose NAS 100. I mean, if you just look at this picture, sure enough, you can see most of my profits was more, and each one of them were bigger than just that one trade from US 30, right? So could have been a bigger day, but latency and lags, whatever. It is what it is. I'm not even bothered by that. But US 30, I don't ideally know why it shot up on the spot. It's kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't really expecting to push up now that I'm looking at it, but um, I did see that we came up and we weren't really pushing this line and we were just dropping, right? So we were right here when I actually took a look at this, and next thing you know, I just entered a sell. It was just an immediate sell. Funny enough, if we're gonna look at the 1 minute time frame, let's see where I took it. I actually entered on this retest, so I saw that it was coming back up. Um, Again, this is all on the 15 minute, but I'm just breaking it down just to kind of show you guys, right? So I saw this. She came, as soon as I entered, I was never in drawdown, not even a dang second. And then she immediately just came down and she just started tanking 20. It was probably a little bit more than 20 points. But then zooming back out on a bigger time frame, I saw that we could potentially be holding this because we had like a kind of like a W formation here, right? So we came up, dropped, came back up, dropped. So ideally, I wanted to see it basically hold it over here to shoot back up. And I was just trying to ride this just so it could come back to that, what I thought was holding a strong support. Now, never did I think it was going to basically break this. And it's funny enough, you can still see how this was such a strong support zone that became resistance with that single tap, right? So actually, I'm just now seeing that. So I could have got multiple trades. Funny enough, on whatever I was expecting from Nas today, basically this one had it set up. I was basically looking for, this would have been a great zone. This would have been a great zone. Look at all these wicks. That would have been a stop loss. Yeah, and that's not even bad. I mean, your stop loss would have been 23 points, and you definitely can't fight that. Yeah, that's actually pretty solid. Just looking at this, I mean, man, I could have taken so many trades, so many trades, so many trades on US 30. US 30 just has even cleaner setups. That's without a doubt. Now it's on the other hand, it's trickier. I don't know. I have a love slash hate relationship with it. A lot of my people, a lot of my friends say that you got to be crazy to trade this, but honestly, it's what I've clearly just became profitable with, and everything just makes so much more sense to me right now with the current president and politicians. Yes, now there's unnecessary volume on NAS like US 30, and it definitely kind of just makes me want to rethink some choices. But anyways, so that was US 30. I just got 20 points, you know, of profit. I thought it was a little bit more, but definitely when I closed out, it was 20 points, um, from 474 to 454. Pretty interesting. I'm happy about the little trade. I just could have been much better. I mean, damn, could have, geez, I probably could have chased it all the way to, geez, that could have been a great one. Could have been a $200 trade. But anyways, looking back on this trade, with Nas 100, she did get me a little bit screwed up today. Um, Obviously, this gray line over here that kind of looks like my cursor, this dotted gray line or white line is my entry, right? So obviously, this is my resistance zone. I did think it was going to hold resistance right on the bottom of this because just take a look at this, right? Came up, dropped, broke it, came back up. I mean, came back down, came back down, came back down, came up, came down. Now I want to see it basically come up for a flush, right? Notice that's exactly what had happened. I wanted to see it come back up for a flush, right? So ideally, I thought it would come back up right here. We were holding this for like the longest time. It was a solid 10, 12 minutes, and then at the last minute, after being almost you could also see my entry on this. I can't lie. I literally entered at 6:16. So after 12, 13 minutes of the trade, at 6:30, she just shot all the way up. I honestly was really wanting to close the trade, but I noticed that she was holding this. And when I'm in a trade, I've already done my analysis, and this is one thing that takes a lot of guts for me to admit. I basically become mentally paralyzed when I'm in a trade. So I need to follow my game plan. I need to trust whatever I did on my charts. I need to trust my analysis from before being in the trade, because once that trade is occurring, I start panicking, right? So I know a lot of people probably going to be like, oh, then trading is not for you. But these are things that you have to understand about yourself. You have to know yourself if you want to be an entrepreneur as a whole, right? If you want to have a business or if you want to make some type of income as such, right? By doing things as such without a degree, without a normal job, without a degree, then you have to understand what's your strong points and what's your weaknesses, right? What are they? What's your weak suits? And that's one of them. When I'm in a trade and once I'm in drawdown, and I start panicking. So I, again, understanding that if it had gone, I can't touch my stop loss, my zone. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to move it. I don't want to extend it, because this is generally what I think wholeheartedly when I did my analysis, right? So I don't want to break it. I don't want to move it. I don't want to change it, because then that's just going to fuck up my trading psychology and I'm going to be in a bigger loss, right? So, funny enough, at one point I was down $112 or something like that. And, I think it was 114, 117, something like that. And she was just holding it so well. And the next thing you know, she immediately came up and she was holding right here, which I was basically contemplating if I just want to get out at minimum. drawdown, which is almost as good as break even, and then she slowly came down. And I had another line over here. I probably didn't save it, but I was thinking that if we can break basically right here, right? Notice the wicks. Notice the wicks. I was like, basically, if we can break this right here, this is not a support or resistance zone. I was just saying, I don't know, in my head, I was just saying, if I can break this zone, it's gonna be flushing, and ideally, this was my TP goal right here, right? So, but we got to this blue line over here, and I saw that she was stuttering, and at one point, it just seemed like she was coming back close to my fucking entry, and I didn't adjust my stop loss, and I'm not really going to take that risk by no means, and never would I even want to chance it. Close the trade. Um, was up $90 on this trade. It is what it is. Could have been a $200-300 trade. Probably. I don't want to stretch it. But by the time I closed out, hey, 68.60, right? And then the next trade, it's just it took a while for it to even break this, and then when it did, it just flushed. It is what it is. And at one point, I just saw that we were holding right here, right? So, just looking at the past, looking at what it's done, looking at all these wicks over here, this is clearly a support zone. And when she was going back up, I chased it. Actually, you can't really see it until I break on the smaller time frames, but she came back up all the way up to this one, and then she just dropped, and I kind of let it be, right? But I didn't even get a good, um, I didn't really get much of a great position on that one. I was expecting that one to be a runner, but I got closed out, in my stop loss and profit, and then that's what I just got a little frustrated with Nas. I mean, whatever I would deem as my A plus setup, if you will, it just kind of seemed like it was chasing my entry after being, in profit, right? So it always depends. You have to think about everything. If a trade is just being choppy, or if it's moving sideways, especially when you get filled in, is it worth to be patient, or is it worth just to take a small loss, or is it worth it just to get out and break even, or even if it's just worth to get out for basically what could afford a Starbucks drink, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, $9. I don't know. It depends for everybody because of your lots, your contracts, your account size, and your goal, right? So I didn't think that this trade where I took a buy, I didn't think it would come all the way up, but it would be great. But ideally, I just wanted to see it come close to this blue line. So, that didn't happen. It didn't happen. I'm completely okay with it. Um, I just called it done. Took two on Nas. It's Wednesday. It's kind of 50-50. And next thing I know, I saw this, and it was my last trade. So, yeah, simple trading recap. Um, I hope, especially on a Wednesday where it's a little bit choppy, I hope you guys did well. For those that are watching, please drop a like. Please sub to the channel. Let me know what type of things you would like me to, talk about, or I mean, just like anybody else who watches this, whether you're new trader or whether you're a beginner or whether you're not as new, we all start from somewhere, and if I can offer at least some insight, then you know I would be more than happy just to answer or to talk about it, right? So don't be shy, don't be hesitant. We all start from somewhere. I'm just tomorrow, depending on how tomorrow goes, but I was looking at my journal, right? My trading journal where I book all my trades and everything. I'm actually tomorrow's about to mark 3 weeks when I started the account, and so far I have not yet had a red day. So I started 3 Thursdays ago. Well, technically tomorrow's about to mark the 3rd week of the account. So that's crazy. This is actually one of the choppier days, but even with 3 trades, I still made basically, this is one of the bigger amounts on the account. Not the biggest, but still one of the bigger. It's like probably the top 4, top 5 um, best days on the account. So I'm gaining some traction, and when you gain traction, then you can and when you recognize it, then you should fully hit the gas pedal, right? And just kind of just enjoy the ride. It's beautiful, honestly. It gets That's when it gets fun, right? Otherwise, trading in general, it can be very stressful. So if you stayed this far for watching, thank you for showing some love. I hope you did. As always, guys, peace, love, and cheers, and let's end this week strong. Thank you.